Hi folks, this is all the fruit. I'm on the Heidelberg University campus and here is a collection of maples. Let's look at this. Acer platanoides, the Norway maple. Typical maple leaves, typical maple fruit. Acer campestre, the field maple. Typical maple leaves, a bit smaller, typical maple fruit. Another Acer campestre. And here another tree, typical maple leaves. Oh, let's try and focus on them. Typical maple leaves, typical maple, oops, wait, what is this? A maple with berries. Well, it was too good to be true. So this is not a maple. Of course, I knew this is not a maple. I just wanted to fool you. So this tree with maple-like leaves is actually the wild service tree or checker tree. Sorbus torminalis. It's related to stuff like the service tree and the mountain ash. It's in the rosaceae and not in the sapindaceae like maples. You will be forgiven to confuse it with the maple when you see the leaves. But if you see, well, even if you see the flowers, you might be forgiven to be confused, but not if you see the fruit. Because those fruit are like typical, little berries, more or less. A very useful and also very popular tree, actually. Well, what is it popular for? Well, the wood is highly priced. It's one of the most expensive timbers of Europe. Actually, in Germany, from time to time, they report somebody sold one single trunk for 10 or 20,000 euros, and then people start growing them everywhere. Well, before hops was widely available, the tree was actually used to flavor beer, and some sources say that that's basically the reason why the old sign for pubs was a checkerboard. It has nothing to do with the game of checkers, but with the checker tree, with this one here. The fruit, they don't look very appetizing. They more or less look like raisins or dates. They are not good unless they are really ripe, basically overripe and basically almost rotting. Well, they shouldn't be rotting, but they should already be looking like they might be rotting. I waited quite long, and since this year was quite dry, most of them are pretty dryish. Let's try one of the dry shriveled ones first. Sour and sweet. Actually, very sour and very sweet at the same time. And also gritty, like there is sand in the fruit. But gritty in a good way. Let's try one of them juicier ones. Same thing, but with more juice and the sweetness more prominent. The grittiness is not bad. It's a little bit like in a pear or in a guava, but more sandy, more fine. Let's see if we can see those gritty little kernels. Come on. No, we can't. Well, that's what the overripe flesh looks like, brown and unappetizing. The taste is really like a sour date or like a dried pear. Not bad. It was used for food in older times. Also, it was mixed into flour to make your flour supplies last longer in winter. It's good for feeding a lot of livestock and also for wild animals and birds. That's why hunters like it a lot. but it's rarely eaten nowadays. I actually like it. I like the tree. I like the leaves and I like the fruit. And the funny thing is, the cultivars grown everywhere, they are ornamental cultivars. So the fruit are not extremely good. But if you go to medieval castles or medieval castle ruins here in the area, you can get really tasty fruit of this checker tree. Big, juicy, tasty. Basically, they taste more or less like a small medlar. A medlar which is a bit on the sour side, but also quite sweet. As you can see, I almost finished off those fruit there. I'll leave this one because it's rotten. And they are not as good as they should be because they are too dry. But basically, one of my favorite fruit to forage if I get it at the right stage of ripeness, which is overripe. Cannot price this checker tree enough, or this wild service tree. Virtually unknown even to a lot of foragers, more known to forestry people for its timber, but it's really an underappreciated wild tree. Even a lot of wild fruit books say that the fruit are inferior. No, they are not at all. They are pretty good actually. Especially if they are a little bit juicier than those dried up fruit right now. Yeah. So folks, this was the checker tree, a wild service tree. Now get away from your computer and try to find some nice checker tree in your parks. And try the fruit, it's the right season. Stay tuned for a lot more fruit videos from the parks and gardens of Heidelberg. And don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe.